Hey everyone, welcome to the LEGO Machine Community Podcast, where we talk to veteran LEGO machine builders about themselves, what they're up to, and about the community. I'm your host Mika, also known as TurtleLegoProductions, and we're here with Caleb from LegatoStudios. So Caleb created his channel on April 2nd, 2015, and mainly uploads vending machines. So Caleb, how are you doing?
Good, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. So the first question we have for you is, when did you get started and why?
So yeah, like you previously mentioned, I started April 2nd, 2015, which is just about nearly 6 years ago. I started slightly before that with building machines, so I saw a BrickUltra video about an OREO dispenser, and I decided to build it myself, and I brought them into school, and I showed off everyone, and slowly one by one I started building. And then as Easter was rolling around, I decided that I wanted to make a themed video, so I made a themed Easter Lego candy dispenser, and I uploaded it to YouTube on April 2nd, I believe.
Nice. I haven't heard of anyone being inspired from BrickUltra, so that's cool that there was someone like not a direct builder from their own channel that you got inspired from. But that's cool that like any way you can get into the community doesn't matter is a good way to get in.
Yeah, and as far as I remember, it might have been an Astonishing Studios build on BrickUltra, but it was a BrickUltra video before I knew of Astonishing Studios himself.
That's cool. Next question is, do you have any builders that have inspired you throughout the years?
Well, I think the easy leading answers are Astonishing Studios and ElectryDragonite, just because they've been around for so long. I've been lucky enough to get in contact with Astonishing Studios myself, especially more recently. So we've been able to talk. But I think that just as I've been going on, as I've been uploading, I've been meeting more people just through comments and connecting with them on social media. Like this is a great example, and I think everyone's inspiring. Everyone has their own story. So yeah.
Yeah, those big builders have been inspiration for everyone, no matter what their channel size. And they still are. They're still making these great machines that we haven't seen in the previous years of the community. And next question is, what's your favorite machine in the community?
I think if I were to look back at all the machines uploaded, I mean, there's some awesome machines like more of Astonishing Studios, more recent builds, like his assembling hamburger machine is pretty great. But I think if I were to look back and pick one ultimate machine, as far as I can remember, it's ElectryDragonite's version 50 machine, where he's able to dispense, I believe it's a gumball for any type of change. You can put in pennies or dimes or nickels or quarters. And to me, that was just really cool. It was this huge machine that dispensed one like little gumball, but it was all built up with crazy mechanisms, different ways of paying. It was very cool.
Yeah, there's a few people that have said that that's their favorite machine. And it still is a pretty cool machine that a lot of people overlook the mechanism. Like a lot of people are making simple machines and simple mechanisms. There are a few people who are making these really crazy mechanisms these days, but back then in the day, that was like the ultimate mechanism. Like nobody's done anything like that. Like have multiple different coins to pay for something that was just unheard of back in the day.
I mean, yeah, it incorporated things like a coin sorter, obviously, to be able to differentiate between pennies, nickels, dimes, and quarters. And then beyond that, it had different mechanisms for like the height of the quarter, height of the coins themselves. Like I just remember them being completely different mechanisms for each type of coin, which is just very fascinating. Very well done.
Yeah, there was also the aspect of like, was there like seven options, like seven different gumballs, but then that you could get like even more, like you get two or something. I can't remember exactly what it was, but there were so many other options you could do with it.
Right. It was, yeah, I've completely forgot about that. There were so many color options as well. Yeah, very well done. It was crazy build. Even beyond that, the fact that it's all was mechanical, I think is another very inspiring part about that. Because as far as I can remember, there was no NXTs. Um, it was all fully built with Legos, which I just find fascinating.
All right, and moving on to the next question, has machine building helped you in some area of life?
I think that machine building itself, it can be very frustrating. If you have a concept in mind and you overlook something so simple, and you have to restart, or have this patience that you didn't really. I mean, at least for me, I know I make mistakes all the time when I'm building, and have to restart things, or have a design that I didn't like and have to break down the whole side of a machine again. and that teaches a level of patience and perfectionism that I think can be helpful in anything in life, in work life. Having that work ethic. Um, but even beyond that, I think that it's building machines has revealed something about me. Um, for example, like not exactly necessarily building them, but having to film and edit and having that commitment has brought to light the fact that I can often procrastinate, which is something that I wouldn't have thought about my work life before because I always considered myself a pretty hard worker, whether it was schooling or a job. But when there's something that I have to, something like the Lego community isn't a necessity in my life. It's a very cool hobby that I have. But when there's something that isn't, pushing me to do, like I don't absolutely have to do it, it reveals the procrastination inside of me. And I think that that's something I've been working on that's been revealed because of Lego building.
Yeah, commitment is a good word used. A lot of people are very committed to building machines, especially when they're younger. And it's kind of like a lifestyle at that age when you're consistently building. That's all you really want to do. You want to keep growing your channel and make these machines.
Yeah, and I think that's very cool how something when you're younger, you're not thinking about what am I gonna do when I grow up. But, building with Legos and being mechanical, brings that inspiration into that when you're older, it becomes easier to decide what you want to do.
Exactly, yeah. And next question is, what type of machine would you like to see someone make?
Whew. One that does my homework for me, honestly. That would be pretty cool. But in reality, I think it would be cooler to see more like slushy or ice cream machines, something that I know there's been some of that stuff done before, but I think it'd be very cool if there was like almost like a soft serve stand, but ice cream, but Legos. I mean, I think that would be very cool.
Yeah, yeah. Speaking of, I think Astonishing Studios has done a machine. He hasn't uploaded on his channel, but it did like simple math problems. I think he's done that before, but I don't think I've seen a slushy machine. That would be cool to see.
I've been thinking for a little bit about doing possibly a 7-Eleven slushy machine. I think that would be a pretty cool concept. Have like a retro vibe to the video. I think that would be pretty fun.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. And next question is, what are some resources for builders to improve their machines or videos?
I think that it's hard to find resources because, I mean, of course you can watch YouTube and look at what other people have done, but then thoughts become less your own and more what other people have done. And that's something that I've struggled with because I see, oh, I'm not building up to the potential of what these other people are doing. And while that's important to have that level of, I don't want to say competition because it's not a competition, but that level of difference between you and another person, I think it's important to draw inspiration from your own things and what you think needs improvement. And it's more of like a learning process. But I think a good resource, mostly just for if you want to invest in your building, is to go on Bricklink and just buy individual pieces. If you're actually thinking about getting serious in a building, because I know that my building was limited by the amount of pieces I used to have, and now I have much more specific pieces that I needed to elevate my design and elevate the size of my builds. So that's something that I think anyone who's serious about Lego building should consider doing.
Yeah, and creativity isn't very original. Like a lot of people think that they've made something original, but it can be a subconscious thought that they've kept in their mind and then they suddenly brought into this machine that they're building.
Exactly. Once you read something or do something or see something, you can't unthink it or unsee it. So that's something that will remain in you. So that's why, for example, before this podcast, I didn't watch any of the other ones or listen to any other ones because I wanted these thoughts to be my own.
Yeah, and back to the creativity aspect, there's a lot of people, and especially me, when I was building, I could just not think of anything, like any ideas. Like I wanted to be original, I wanted to build these super cool designs, but I never could figure anything out. But once I just gave up on trying to think and just started building, eventually it just came into those ideas that I've built on the channel. And that was especially true for my Coca-Cola machine. In one little frame or one picture, there was a design that was like a bunch of like little design patterns. Like I wanted to make this like super intricate design thing, but then it just didn't look good. But then I just kind of like looked at like vintage Coca-Cola machines and like Coca-Cola coolers, and I got some inspiration from there. And you can kind of see like a little bit of the form aspect, with like the curved tiles and everything that kind of like resembles that old vintage style. So I think it's okay to pull ideas from other people, and you can incorporate other aspects. Like if you take an idea from one video and you take another idea from a different video and you combine them into both, you can create something original that way.
Yeah, most definitely. And I also think that I think that, well, as you know, Legos are very simple concept, you know. There's only you can only go so far with Legos. So I think that when you try to create something so complex like that struggle that you had, sometimes it doesn't look as good as you wanted because you can't have that level of detail that you desire. So I think that something important for other Lego builders, something that I'm trying to find myself, is mastering the art of simplicity in your machines, because you don't want it to look too boring and simple, but you want the designs to be elegant, simple, clean. I think that's something that should be looked at and considered when designing machines.
Yeah, and that's a good point. With design, simplicity is more of the aesthetic we kind of like look for these days. Back in the early days of the community, if you were like old community, there's just scrambled bricks of different colors, and then we moved to just like solid colors, and then we moved to some simple designs, and then more intricate and detailed designs. And now it's kind of been like kind of a mix of all of those. And I kind of see Astonishing Studios being like the main builder who's really looking ahead of the community, who's looking at these designs, um, that will transcend the time of when they're uploaded, that it'll still look cool in like 10 years.
Yeah, most definitely. I think that, I mean, we mentioned ElectryDragonite's 50th machine, the ultimate machine, and if you look at that design, it's very there's a lot of elements of direction and different colors. I remember like so many different colors on it, which is not necessarily something that you see now. I think for the most part, something that's changed a lot is that we used to go from candy machines, which like a gumball machine could be themed anything because gumballs come in so many different colors. We've been moving more towards theming things like McDonald's machines and Burger King machines and KFC or whatever it might be. So the element of design becomes more, oh, I'm making a McDonald's machine. I automatically think red, yellow, white, maybe some black, you know? And I think that with that, a more simple design just automatically becomes a factor because you have less to work with. But it's a good thing overall, I think.
Yeah, and it also makes it easier, to pull ideas. You don't have to think of these super intricate designs. Like, for example, my pinball machine, the meme one, that was probably like the most intricately detailed machine that I've made. But I really tried to simplify after seeing what Astonishing Studios was doing, and that design aspect really came into my Coca-Cola machine. And I kind of regret not doing that earlier on in my Lego machine career. I think it would have been pretty cool to do it back then and see how much improvement I would have made over time doing it that way.
Most definitely, yeah. I think that, like you said, like we said earlier, there's nothing wrong with really looking at what other people are doing and making those improvements.
All right, and next question is, what are you up to nowadays?
Well, right now I'm a junior in high school, so this is a pretty stressful year of high school for me because I have SATs, which is a standardized test to get into college. You know, it's a pinnacle year in my high school. But other than that, I have a job as a ski coach, which actually just ended because the season's coming to an end, and I'm looking to get a job at Verizon. So, yeah, that's essentially it. Just maintaining a normal teenage lifestyle.
All right, moving on to the next part of the podcast. What are your opinions on the past Lego Machine community?
I think that when I look back at the past Lego community, I get a sense of nostalgia, a sense of like, wow, this was pretty awesome. I miss this. I miss being a part of this. But then I think, you know, if you think about moving backwards or wanting to be somewhere before, then you're going to miss out on what's happening now, because it's not like it's ended, it's not like it's over. We're moving on to completely different, new, crazier things. So as cool as like the old, machine community was, and having these like everything seemed very new. We were discovering new ways to do things. I think that's still very much the case, but I think we've become more entangled with the intricacies instead of with, now I know how to use gears and now I know how to do, NXTs. Now it's more like I'm assembling my food and I'm doing this and I'm doing that, and I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's always evolving. All of our machines are moving through trends and designs, and machines themselves are evolving and changing over time. But nostalgia is a very powerful emotion. In our age group of the community, the nostalgia aspect is something that we hold on to dearly, and a lot of I feel a lot of the new builders, they don't have that nostalgia aspect yet. They may look at some of these machines, they've probably seen them when they were even younger before they started building, but they didn't get that full experience of being inside of the community while they were uploading those machines. So I wonder how that will be for them in the future.
Yeah, and I even remember like seeing when Astonishing Studios and ElectryDragonite were hitting 100,000 subscribers and collaborating with each other, and that whole growth process. And now, Astonishing Studios is nearing 800,000, I believe, or more. I haven't exactly checked that, but it's just crazy how much growth there's been in the last few years, and that aspect of this small community growing. It is nostalgic, missing the beginning, but seeing where we are now and seeing what can change and go forwards as we continue is just a very cool feeling too.
And with that, what are your opinions on the current Lego machine community?
I think that in order for the current machine community to progress, I think that everyone needs to take a bit of a step up into and kind of abandon the old machine community ways, as nice as they are and as nostalgic as they are. I think that moving into these assembling machines and looking at new trends and trying to everyone to step up their games, I think that would be a pretty cool thing to see everyone work on bigger, vaster machines.
Yeah. I've spoken to a lot of the newer builders about this. And a lot of people said that they don't have enough bricks. I don't know if that's like just a generational thing where a lot of us older builders, like we got handed down all of like this Lego, and I don't know if these newer builders have that same experience, but it just seems to be a common trend that they don't have that many bricks, so they're making these small machines and they're uploading on a much more consistent basis than we were back in our day, and they're growing at like really crazy rates. But in terms of their machines, they're not really improving that much. They're not really progressing, and the community's kind of been like in a state of it's growing, but the machines aren't improving much. There are a few people that are making these really cool machines, especially the Japanese Lego machine community. That's a new community that's evolved through people like Nipe. Their machines are like a different route than our English Lego machine community. It's really cool to see how they're growing in their own way. And I really hope that this English community can grow alongside what they're doing.
Yeah, I think personally, when I'm still doing my channel, but when I was really into it, I was more focused on making sure that I was putting out videos that I was very proud of. Um, and when I was starting, that was my definition of being proud of my videos were different because I had just started. I was just learning how to do things. But as I got better and better, I wanted to constantly be improving. And I think at this point, I want to be making machines that are very big and unique and have different aspects. So for me, making smaller machines and uploading on a very consistent basis wouldn't be as satisfying to me as it would be to take my time with my videos and make like pieces of history for me, because they mark out a time period in my life. So in my opinion, I'm not necessarily here for the quicker growth and uploading more consistently. Although it is something I would like to do, is be more consistent. I would rather have bigger, better videos that I'm more proud of, which I think is something the community should focus on. If I could change one thing.
Yeah. I feel a lot of people in this new generation of the community, they're really focused on growing their channels. and that's good on them. They're doing a great job, but for us older folks, it's kind of sad to see that the community is not progressing ingenuitively.
It would be great to see as the community is getting bigger and channels are growing, to see more YouTubers, more of these community members making bigger, better machines, and having that be the majority of the community, I think would be the dream.
All right, and moving on to the next question, what's your opinion on the future of the Lego machine community?
Well, I think there was a moment in time where it felt like the machine community was dwindling, almost like a disparity feeling that us older generation of builders had. Like, is it coming to an end as we're getting older? And we didn't really get to see these newcomers. And I think that as we see these newcomers coming up and growing channels, larger than mine, I think that that's a very cool thing. And I think that, time can only tell what'll happen. But I'm hoping as the future goes on and as we get to see what these builders do, I think it'll be exciting to see how they can evolve and make their consistency and commit that to greater machines as we talked about earlier. I think that seeing this level of commitment, hopefully that can continue as they get older, which is something that our level of the community didn't really do.
Yeah, and the fact you brought up that like the community was kind of like dwindling, that was around like 2016, 17. That's around the age when like most of the older builders are starting to go into college, university, or even high school. They're starting to build less. They have less time. They want to do other things, and our community was getting older, and there wasn't too many newer builders and at that time. So we really saw like the community declining. There was like barely anyone uploading, and I made a few videos about that because I was concerned that like I don't want this community to die. It's been such a nice community, and I've met a lot of people and have a lot of memories and nostalgia from this. Didn't want it to die out, but I'm so happy to see that there's a new generation of builders that have come in and taken our place, and they're growing the community more than we have.
Yeah, I think that no matter what way the newer generation of builders decides to take route in the way that they build their machines, I just think that no matter what, we could all be happy that at least the community is still going and still growing, and no matter what direction it takes, I just think it's exciting that it's still here.
All right, and do you have anything else you want to add?
I think I want to show you my machine that I want to upload. So this is the machine's first YouTube appearance, but it will be on YouTube on my channel shortly. It's a hand sensing. You know what? I actually don't want to give too much away, but it'll be on YouTube shortly.
All right.
I'm very excited to get that video out. I'm planning on getting it out by the summer at the latest. But that marks a big step up in my YouTube game because it is the master of my work. It's the peak of my design, the best looking machine, best performing machine that I've personally made. So I'm very excited to get that video out.
All right. Well, thank you for tuning in to the Lego Machine Community Podcast. Thank you so much, Caleb, for joining in this episode and sharing your thoughts and ideas. And we will see you in the next episode.
All right. See you guys.